Hello, hello. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz. Welcome. I am Zachary Hines, and welcome to our very first episode of the Straz Center podcast. This is what you missed at the Straz, and I am joined by the ever so lovely LeeAnn Day Douglas, who is actually, this is all your fault, this podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the lovely remark. I really like that. The podcast is my fault. I decided with a couple of other members of the team that we needed a podcast. So
if you don't like this podcast, you can at her and leave me alone.
Yes, please don't. Please don't.
Well, last night we went to see Jobsite Theater's new show, Constellations by Nick Payne, and we're going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say.
It was a great time.
It was a fabulous time sitting next to you. So I'm always running late, and in going to the theater in particular, I'm always running to the theater. I know no other way to see a play than to be running up until the very last minute. I don't know, ever since I've been going to theater, I think it was when I was studying abroad, we would see plays every night, and so we'd go from class and we'd have to get to the next show, and so we just had enough time to grab a sandwich and run as fast as we possibly could so that we wouldn't miss anything. But I get a nice text message on my way to the... I didn't inform LeeAnn of my theater-going habits, and LeeAnn is you're an on-timer.
I'm an on-timer.
Well, now
you're one of those people that everybody hates that like climbs over people's legs to get to their seat because you're late, and everybody else, like me, was there on time or super early, because if you get there early, you have time to get a drink.
Did you just say everyone hates me, LeeAnn?
Everyone hates you. No, people like you. We hate people like you. No, nobody hates you. Nobody could ever hate Zach.
I just charm people to forgive me for my tardiness.
Well, luckily you weren't as tardy as I think you thought you were.
Right. I was, to set the record straight, I was on time, but, now they say that if you're on time, you're late. If you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. That's what I need to drill into myself.
That's like 40 being the new 20?
Yeah.
I feel so young.
Although I try so hard, but I think it's just, I don't like waiting. I don't like the anticipation because I'm so excited to see what I'm about to witness.
You just want it to start.
I just want it to start. And I don't want to hear the crinkling of the wrappers that people are, I just want to sit down and let the experience begin.
Nobody wants to hear the crinkling of the wrappers
no.
at all. And somebody was crinkling something last night. Did you hear that?
They make the announcement. They say, please unwrap your wrappers now. And there's at least 50 people in the larger theater. There are at least maybe 5 people last night that they make that announcement, and then the show begins, and then suddenly you hear, they're like, oh, okay, now that's the time to open the wrappers. Maybe there's a universe where I am always early to the theater. I went to see Chicago here last September, and I actually was a little late. I was about 2 minutes late, and so they have a hold on when you can enter, so you have to wait through the first song. And so the usher, we have the best ushers here, and she was so sweet. She was like, oh, I'm sorry, there's a hold, you're gonna have to wait. I'm like, oh, that's fine, I'm used to it by now. And she was like, but you're gonna miss all that jazz. I don't know what you want me to do about it.
Okay, I'm gonna miss it.
If you want me to see it, let me in.
Let me go. I'm the opposite. I have the fear of being late to the theater. So I get there so early, it's ridiculous. Especially for Hamilton, when I came to Hamilton, because, I knew there were no extra seats. There were no extra tickets. So if I was late and missed anything, you have the fear of, what if the car breaks down and I'm going to miss it? I can't get tickets to see it for another performance. Or, what if, I don't know, my mind was going through about 100 different scenarios of what if this happens, what if that happens, and I miss Hamilton. So I was here like an hour and a half early for Hamilton.
Oh my God.
Which was ridiculous because the doors aren't even open at that point. I think we like took a walk on the Riverwalk. We walked down to Armature Works and walked back. And then the doors were open. So, but I just wanted to make sure I had parking, wanted to make sure if the car broke down, there was time for AAA to tow me to the Straz Center. Just had to make sure that I saw Hamilton and didn't miss out. So yeah, I do have the fear of being late. So I'm always super early.
This should be a new part of the podcast where it can be LeeAnn's pre-theater discoveries, where everything...
Oh, I walked down the Riverwalk. I saw Armature Works. I went to Ukulele. I could do a whole Riverwalk series on my fear of being late.
Yeah, or we could do LeeAnn's experience going to the theater, which I'm sure is far more peaceful than my...
I don't think so. I don't think it's more peaceful.
Really?
No, because I'm so worried about being late. It's definitely not like internally peaceful.
Okay. Because I was doing like a full-on CrossFit parkour workout to get there on time.
Right.
I was climbing upstairs like 3 at a time.
You're bouncing off the Poe walkway just to get into the Schimberg.
Doing flips over over boundaries just to
much more cardiovascular though.
Yeah. It's how I stay so petite. I would be 300 pounds if I wasn't pushing it to come to the theater exactly on time.
Yeah. Well, and coming to the Schimberg is different than coming to Morsani Hall, right? It's something we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
It's much more intimate.
It's way more. It's only, it's
like
less than 100.
Seats? Yeah.
Yeah, a little less. And what, Morsani's a little less than 3,000?
Well, it's like 2,600,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. So when you go to the Schimberg, no matter where you sit, you can see the actors, the expressions on their faces.
And it's such a special, and some shows are, I can't imagine a show like Constellations in a 3,000 seat theater.
No, not at all.
Would be, the whole experience would be completely ruined because you really need to see those minor differences in each reality on the actor's face and in the way they say the words.
Right.
It's such a great experience to see theater in an intimate space like that.
Right, and also it's general admission, right? Mm-hmm. So you don't have an assigned seat. So if you're late, like you have to have somebody like me.
I was not late.
Saving you a seat. So
on time. If you're on time.
Yes, if you're later than the early people.
But yeah, it's good to have an early friend so that they can save a good seat. Because if you're an on-timer or pushing it like yours truly, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever is left for the taking.
Yeah, because I was waiting outside for Zach, just kind of like, because we missed each other all day. We kept trying to hook up and kept missing each other. And I walked by my desk and my ticket was just magically sitting there. And we never got to talk about, are we going to meet there? Are we going to meet inside? What are we going to do? And so I was just waiting outside and I'm watching people go through security and more people are going through security. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to sit together if I don't go inside. So it was kind of going inside.
It kind of reminded me of like a first date, but where you don't talk to the person at all.
It's ideal sometimes.
Because even after I wanted to talk to you, but I was also like, I don't want to ruin the conversation
this morning.
So
right.
I kind of wanted to keep it fresh. So we kind of parted ways right after the show. I was like, oh, this is a great first date.
That's like first dates for introverts.
Yeah, first dates for introverts.
I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at you. I just want to watch theater, have somebody to sit with, and then I don't want to talk to you afterwards.
I want to sit in a dark room next to you.
That's
for
it.
80 minutes.
You're going to have to write a song.
Yeah. That's amazing. And just keep doing it. You have only sat in a dark room with this person, but have never shared a conversation. All right, I think it's time for us to take a quick break, and we will be right back. Well, if you're listening to this and you're like, but now I want to see it, you can. Constellations is still playing through August 4th at the Straz Center. You can get tickets and more information at strazcenter.org. You're listening to This Is What You Missed at the Straz. I'm with the fabulous LeeAnn Day Douglas, and we're talking about Jobsite Theater's Constellations.
Well, the show, for the listeners, what the show was about was basically the idea of, in what is it, quantum mechanics, that each of us is living out our lives in an infinite number of universes. So, every choice that we made has already been made. It kind of gets really deep.
Yeah, it's like the multiverse.
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
theater Avengers where all realities are possible.
So yeah, so that's what they were doing. They were reliving the same moment in their lives over and over and over and over again during the 90-minute play. And so how do you keep track as an actor of which universe you're actually living in right this second?
Yeah, because it'd be the same scene, but this time the inflection was different. So it totally changed the reaction. You think of things in conversations you've had where you're like, oh, I stand by what I said, but I should have said it in a different way. And I wonder if that would have had a different impact.
Right.
I thought the play did a really great job of showing that as well, that sometimes you can say the same thing, but in how you deliver it, it really can make a difference in how it's received.
So one of the things, I'll tell you, the one thing I didn't like about the show, I'll just get that right out.
Oh, wow. We're going right into it.
I didn't like the soundtrack underneath the actors where, and I understand why it was there, to kind of give you the idea that they're in a room full of people, or they're in a restaurant, or they're at a party, or they're wherever. But I kept thinking that somebody was like whispering behind me or next to me. I was like, these people need to stop talking. And it wasn't that, it was the soundtrack. So that kind of distracted me a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking, I bet this is something that is a cue to the actors, because the entire time I was thinking, normally we laugh that the first question people ask actors is, how did you memorize all those lines?
Right.
But for this show, I think that's actually a relevant question, because it cuts to the same scene with very subtle differences each time, and it goes back and forth through different time periods and locations. And I was like, I wonder if the sound is another way to help ground the actors.
Them, yeah.
Like, this is where we are. And also the audience to be like, okay, this is that scene again, but in a different reality.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. So the set was really simple. Of course, I say that not being the one who built it. So I'm sure it isn't as simple as it looked. But I liked it.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it a lot. I liked the way that it let you focus on the story instead of on the actual set. I liked the lighting effects behind them that kind of told you they were going to another universe.
Yeah, so they had this like round stage that was painted with some kind of black light paint, so that when in the
But was it multicolored? Because it seemed like it was multicolored.
I think
black
it
light
was
paint.
multicolor. It was like green and purpley, it kind of looked like to me.
Right.
And it had these really intricate designs. So in between scenes, as they were kind of rotating around each other into the next universe, it was this really kind of spacey effect with these orbs of, they kind of looked like little solar systems.
Was it like fiber optic lights, do you think?
I think so. I know nothing about.
I counted the orbs. I was hoping there were going to be like 9 for 9 planets, but there weren't.
Oh, how many were there?
I can't remember. I think it was like 7. And I was like, did they leave out Pluto? Because, they excommunicated Pluto.
Yeah,
once they decided Pluto was not a planet. I still believe in Pluto, so I'm from that generation.
Hashtag stand for Pluto.
Stand for Pluto. Yeah. So, but yeah, there weren't 9.
Huh.
So I don't know what the decision was there.
I wonder if there
who
were...
decided there were 7? Were there 7 universes that they...
Maybe there were seven different timelines
went through?
They were kind of going through.
That would be interesting to ask the director. So we'll have to ask her.
Yes.
Yeah.
7. Why? Why 7?
Why 7?
Maybe it's her favorite number.
Maybe
that's it.
Maybe that's all that would fit on the wall.
That's true.
Was
That's
7.
all they had money for. 7 universes.
Right.
No more, no less.
Nope, that's it. That's all you get. That's all you get.
I was good with 7. I think that...
Yeah, it looked really nice.
Yeah, it was really pretty.
I want that, like, in my backyard. Like, do you think after the show is over with, they'll, like, let me have it? Like, for a cheap...
I would love it in my bedroom, just to, like,
Just
put it on the
put
ceiling.
it on the wall and let it... Yeah.
I had that when I was a kid. I had that, like, those lights that you'd put on the nightstand that spin around, and it makes...
Like a little planetarium kind of thing?
Uh-huh.
That's neat.
I kind of want one now. I feel like, why do only kids get that?
You should get one.
I should. I
absolutely.
will. I will.
Okay.
Next episode, that's all I'm going to talk about.
Okay, very good. I expect it.
Planetarium in my bedroom.
On your nightstand. Yeah.
That'll be the new reality. Maybe there is a reality somewhere where I am living my best life with my planetarium nightstand.
That's probably it. Somebody else has got the planetarium,
Yeah.
and now you're not allowed to have it.
All right. I think it's time for us to take a quick break, and we will be right back. We're going to be seeing a lot of Jobsite theater shows this season, so why don't you join us? Get your season tickets at strazcenter.org, save a lot of money, see a lot of theater, and maybe we'll see you there. You're listening to This Is What You Missed at the Straz. I'm with the fabulous LeeAnn Day Douglas, and we're talking about Jobsite Theater's Constellations.
One of the things that I liked about the show was the part of the show where there are two characters. There are Marianne and Roland, and we're kind of watching the different ways that their lives are playing out together. And Marianne, at a certain point in the play, you notice that she's got an illness of some kind, and they haven't actually spelled out what it is when they first introduce it. And she's having difficulty expressing herself verbally. And it was really hard to watch. It was really well done. I mean, I was so invested at that moment and was just like dying inside for her. Like, oh my gosh, can I please tell you what the word is that you're trying to get out? And so she did a marvelous job of portraying that. I thought that was amazing. But then I'd get like invested in that storyline, and then they'd switch to another universe, and I was like, I was invested in that storyline. I wanted to see what happened, you know?
I thought it was interesting that was the scene that kind of was consistent throughout the show. That instead of being played out differently, they just revealed more of it. And at the end, you finally see how it all is connected in one. So you're not really sure, leading up until the end, is this a different timeline? Are these at different periods in her life? But then you see that it's actually, spoiler alert, one full scene. And then the others are the same scene repeated in many different realities. I thought she did such a great job. I thought he did a great job in kind of receiving that and being the partner who is suffering from the outside, not being able to help. I thought he did a really great job expressing that. And they even had some sign language.
The sign language. When they started speaking in sign language, it was the most beautiful thing that I had seen on stage in a long time. It just floored me. And I was still able to understand pretty much what they were saying to each other. And
right.
I don't know sign language, so it was amazing. That was probably my favorite part of the whole show.
It was surprising. That's what I loved about it too. You know, those moments of surprise in theater that you're like, and the feeling that it's great when you feel something, but it's even greater when you feel it and you know the 80 other people in the room are feeling that exact same emotion.
Right.
You know, I kind of felt the entire room going,
That's when the whole
moment.
room came together.
Mm-hmm.
The whole room. Until that moment, we were all just individuals sitting there watching theater. And then when they started speaking sign language, everybody just started breathing as one.
And that's another great thing about that intimate theater going experience is you feel more connected to the actors on stage, but I feel like you also feel more connected to the audience members that you're with, because you're all in this tiny room together. And so you can really feel, you're more aware of how everyone's feeling and what they're going through, because as much as we think of theater going as a passive experience, we're just sitting and watching, but we're really doing more than that. If it's a thriller, we're on the edge of our seat. If it's a sad moment, we're crying sometimes, we're laughing at the jokes if something's funny, and we're doing it collectively. And I think in that smaller space, you really feel it more. And that's a great feeling, that feeling of community, that feeling like you're connected to complete strangers on your introvert first date. That's the way you can connect and communicate.
Right.
It's kind of very unique to theater,
To live theater.
Yeah. And something that I think in today's world, when people are like, well, why go to the theater when you have Netflix at home? I think that's a perfect example, because at Netflix you're by yourself or with maybe a friend or two, but here in that moment, that's, you can't recreate that. That's there and it's gone. And you're never going to feel that again until your next theater going experience. And that will still be different because it'll be unique to that play or show.
Right. I think when we're so focused on social media and the digital, it's even more important to have a theatrical experience where you can actually feel that connection with other humans and their experience. So
with Constellations, do you think, this is something I was thinking about, with the way the story was told, because it wasn't one singular storyline, how did it make you emotionally react to what was going on? Because certain storylines were sadder than others. Certain storylines seemed to be drifting towards a happy ending. So you kind of got this mix of relief that, oh, everything's going to work out. And then you also got this sense of dread of, oh no, it's not going to work out. And it's kind of saying that they're all possibilities.
This is going to say something about my personality, but I really liked the sad storylines better. Isn't that awful? I know. Oof. Very morose.
Well, Marianne and Roland do not appreciate that.
I'm sure they don't. Yeah, but I did connect emotionally more with those storylines than with the happy.
Well, and I also do feel like the play kind of lingered on those scenes longer.
It did at the end.
Yeah, definitely at the end, because, the one scene that they were building, I feel like it did give more air and more time to kind of the sadder moments. A lot of the, even where she comes back and is like, it's benign, yay, let's go eat spaghetti. It kind of was just maybe this is some other universe, but it didn't feel like that was the main storyline, I guess.
Right. Did you feel like the ending, the happy ending, was out of place?
Well, I kind of think it was done on purpose, because I think, for me at least, it showed how I was just really wanting to hold on to that scene, that 15-second scene that clearly did feel like it was a throwaway. But I feel like the playwright was playing with you, because he's like, let me see, I'm going to test your optimism, because I'm going to test, even though I'm going to show you all of these other alternatives that are awful, I'm going to see how hard you can hold on to that one positive outcome.
Hold on to the joy. Well, I've already, I'm morose, and so I had a hard time with the joyful ending.
Enough of this.
I know. I was actually glad. I really do like a happy ending, or a positive ending, as you say. But after all of the really heavy, dramatic, sad stuff, and then all of a sudden it was like, but there are other universes, and look, in this universe they're happy. So I was kind of like, oh. That kind of jarred me a little bit. Oh, it's over. Okay.
So, what a fabulous evening. A big congratulations to our fearless leader, the director of Constellations, Summer Bonenkamp, and the wonderful cast, Giles Davies and Georgia Mallory Guy. I think everything was absolutely phenomenal. I would give it 7 out of 7 universes, one for each universe on stage.
I love it. I love it. I'm actually going to give it 9 universes.
Oh,
9 universes because there are 9 planets. I got to get Pluto in there. So
Justice for Pluto.
justice for Pluto. So no, I loved it. It was fantastic. So bravo.
Well, thank you so much, LeeAnn. I feel enlightened. I feel refreshed, revived. I am so glad we have met in this reality, this dimension. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz.